Hello everyone and welcome back to my favourite room in the house. Today I am joining the phenomenon that is bald and deadly GI Joes and Cobras created by my great mate Campbell from Kiwi GI Customs and Collection. So stay tuned, we're going to look at some bald and deadly GI Joes and Cobras. Righto, let's get into it. But before I do, I just wanted to take a moment to thank everybody who has watched my videos lately and left a like or a comment and maybe even subscribed to my channel. The response has been overwhelming and I can't believe so many people are interested in my GI Joe collection in little old Adelaide, Australia. It's fantastic and I'm grateful to the bottom of my heart. But bald and deadly GI Joes, what is that about? Well, Campbell from Kiwi GI Customs and Collection, he's of the hairless variety himself. He doesn't have a lot of hair on his head. It happens to the best of us as we get older. And to celebrate bald people and bald GI Joes and Cobras, Kiwi has called on YouTube creators in the toy space for the month of March to show off their bald and deadly GI Joes and Cobras. And that's exactly what I'm going to do today. All I have done is opened my cabinet and fished out all of the GI Joes that don't have a skerrick of hair on the head. Now, some of them are left in the cabinet because they're sort of receding. They're sort of like got half a head of hair, or a ponytail and no hair. I just went for the guys that just complete chrome domes, complete and utter bowling balls on top, smooth, shiny heads. That's what I've gone for, and I'm going to show them off to you today. And I wanted to start with probably a bald and deadly cobra that people tend to forget about. And that is the 1987 Globulus. And I might have to hold this guy sideways because he's not your average GI Joe. Obviously, most GI Joes come with legs, and this guy, well, he doesn't have legs. He has this long sort of Mr. Hanky tail, which makes him quite unique in the line. But look, if you know Globulus, he was, of course, the leader of the Cobra La forces in the movie, and I'm really happy to have him in my collection. Well, I don't really know how to display him, because usually you put your GI Joes on little standees, and this guy, well, I don't know what to do with him. How do you display your Globulus? Please let me know in the comments below. But as you can see there, he's completely bald. Except for this strange sort of red headband, which looks very alien, very underworld. Globulus, interesting fact, was voiced by Burgess Meredith in the movie. And Burgess, full disclosure, is my surname. So just sort of doxed myself. But it's funny that there's a guy in America, a famous actor, with a first name that's the same as my surname. Anyways, that's a random Burgess Meredith factoid for you. But Globulus, look, as weird as he is one of my favourites. And look, you'll hear me say today that a lot of these GI Joes are my favourites, but he is definitely a bald and deadly Cobra. How cool is he? Who have I got next? We'll just let Globulus sit down over there. He can just chill on his side like that. That's pretty cool. All right, I'm going to get one out that is now close to my heart, and it is none other than 1990 Salvo. Here he is here. Now, Salvo is close to my heart because he is one of the GI Joes I had when I was a kid. I reckon I only had sort of 6 GI Joes when I was a little tacker, and Salvo... Globulus is just taking a tumble in the background. But Salvo was, I think, the 3rd GI Joe I received as a gift from my parents after Dial Tone and Frag Viper. And I remember opening Salvo on my birthday and for some reason heading to McDonald's in Salisbury here in South Australia. And this was around the time that McDonald's was only just starting to sort of gather speed in Australia, so it was a real treat to go to Macca's, and I remember I took Salvo with me. Now, the best thing about Salvo is the accessories he comes with, and I keep mine in a little baggie because there's heaps of them. This guy was made to do some damage, so he's got a briefcase which I don't know, wouldn't do much damage by itself, but he has this massive sort of missile launcher unit with 5 missiles in it. It's just nuts. You can sort of display him with the missile launcher on his shoulder like so, if you like. You can flick these missiles out. They flick out. I tend to keep mine sort of tucked away in my drawer because the missiles go missing. Number one, when you have lots of bits and pieces floating around your cabinet, it's easy for things to go missing. And this handle is prone to breaking off, so I sort of keep that aside and look after that in my little drawer. So there are his accessories that I store. The accessories that I display him with is this strange-looking mine rifle. You call it that. But the idea of this is he shoots these discs off, and the stand's just falling out there. That's all good. The discs slide off of this rifle, and I haven't done it in quite a while, so I don't really want to force any of these discs, but they slide off like so, and they're obviously little mines, like old mate Tripwire used to have. That was a bit of a mouthful. Old mate Tripwire. But look, I'm obsessed with this guy. He's just, obviously holds a lot of nostalgia value for me. The Right of Might printed on his t-shirt. And before I move on to the next Joe, we obviously have to show off the bald and deadly noggin that he sports. And if you remove this helmet, you can see quite clearly that Salvo doesn't have a hair on his head. So that's very cool. That's 1990 Salvo. Maybe I can use Salvo to prop Globulus up. There we go. Put this down here. All right, who else have I got on my little box next to me? Well, I'm going to get out Gung Ho. Now, the original versions of Gung Ho came out in 1983. Here he is here. And this Gung Ho in my collection is special to me because my boss actually went on a trip to America, and before he left, he said, "Oh, Aaron, give me a list of the GI Joes you want me to look for." And I gave him a list, not really expecting him to find any of them, but he came back with this really crisp 1983 Gung Ho. So very blessed, and thank you to my boss. I know he won't be watching, but yeah, I'm so blessed to have some really good mates. Now Gung Ho, as you can see here, he has a cap on, so we couldn't really be sure that he was bald, at least not for the first 2 versions of the figure. And I got the second version here, Gung Ho version 2 from 1987. This is the Gung Ho in his full marine dress with his ceremonial sword. The head sculpt obviously very similar. I mean, it's sort of reasonable to surmise that he was bald, but if you look very carefully here, you can actually see on Gung Ho's head, and we'll just get this to focus. You can see on Gung Ho's head there is a bit of a hairline there, so it's a little bit confusing. He's either really blonde or he has sort of hair that's a skin tone color or bleached. But look, you can't be sure. Look, we can't be sure. We can't be sure without removing these hats whether Gung Ho is a bald and deadly GI Joe. Before, I just wanted to prove to you that he is, though. I wanted to show you this other version of Gung Ho that I have. I actually got 2 in the marine dress, and this one still has the sticker attached to his arm. So I take really good care of this one. It's hard to find him with one of those stickers, so very cool, very happy to have him in my collection. So we'll just move them back because there is a few more versions of Gung Ho I wanted to get into. Gung Ho next came out in 1991, so there was a 4-year gap between that marine dress Gung Ho and the one that I'm about to grab. And the 1991 version, well, he was very patriotic. He came with an American flag and a really big M60. But as you can see here, he is completely bald on top. So the hair's gone. The tattoo, for some reason, has shrunk on his chest, but we'll let Hasbro off because, there was some other cool sculpting going on there. But, yep, definitely bald and definitely ready to head into the jungle with his American flag, which is quite outstanding. The next version, 1992, used the same sculpt, but a different colour. And I managed to pick him up at Joe Fest last year, believe it or not. And there he is there. So he's red on top. Went to Joe Fest in Augusta, Georgia in 2025 and came back with that version of Gung Ho. So very happy to have him in my collection. He's also very, very bold. Then we move into 1993 with a very unusual version of Gung Ho, because this is obviously when GI Joe started to move into the neon colours, and this Mega Marines version of Gung Ho is quite leery. But having said that, I reckon he's underrated. I love him. We'll take this helmet off so we can see he's bald. First and foremost, there he is, clearly a bold and deadly GI Joe. But the coloration on this guy, it isn't just straight neon. It looks like Hasbro were really starting to experiment with these swirly finishes, particularly through the Mega Marine subset. And you can see there's a nice mix of olive drab and black swirled there on his non-neon parts throughout his sculpt. Love this version of Gung Ho, I have to admit. And I am a sneaky little fan of most of the Mega Marines. I've got most of them in my cabinet, but worthy addition to that little team, and worthy addition to the Gung Ho lineup, if you ask me. So we'll chuck him over there. And there's one more G.I. Joe, bold and deadly Gung Ho, that didn't form the original run of A Real American Hero. It came out much later in 2001, and he was simply a repaint of those 1991 and 92 versions. There he is there. The plastic feels a little bit different, as it did with these Lost Era G.I. Joes. But this is certainly a really nice colourways for Gung Ho. I really like that. There's a bit of that swirling sort of effect on his pants as there was with the Mega Marines version from 1993. So there's all my Gung Ho's. He is certainly a bold and deadly G.I. Joe. I'm going to slide them back here and we will have a look at the next one. Okay, now let's look at a couple of bold and deadly G.I. Joes that only ever had one version, but that one version was enough for us to see that these guys were definitely bold and deadly. And the first one was a member of Sergeant Slaughter's Renegades. Here he is here. This is Taurus. Now, Taurus was the Turkish acrobat and certainly is bold and deadly, apart from the nice red beard and red eyebrows and red eyes painted onto his sculpt. Now, I love Taurus. I think he's a really nice figure. In fact, all of the Renegades were. There was Red Dog and Mercer, and all three of them just really cool figures in their own way. So that is Taurus, and another standalone figure who is also bold and deadly. Comes with this little guy. Do you know who that is? That's a little pork belly, a little warthog. And I don't have all the accessories for this bloke, but look, I've got the important bits as far as I'm concerned. This is, of course, Norgahide. And if we remove this hat, which is a very important accessory, we can see that Norgahide is also bold and deadly. The accessories that I'm missing, I think there was a bow that's always broken. I'm missing that. Missing a couple of knives, I reckon. Maybe one that clips onto his arm, but maybe one day I'll have him complete. He's hard to come across in my neck of the woods with all the bits and pieces. The sculpt and the paintwork on this guy, again, very cool. Definitely one of the most iconic dreadnoks with a name that you don't forget in a hurry. So that is Norgahide. He looks really mean. Look at that. What a legend he is. So that's Taurus and Norgahide. I'll chuck them up the back here. There we go. Lots of bald G.I. Joes. Pork belly can go back there with those guys as well. Who is next? Wow, let's have a look here. Let's talk about a Cobra. Hey, I don't think we've covered a bold and deadly Cobra yet. I mean, you could say a Dreadnought is a Cobra, can you? And or look, Globulus was the king of the Cobras, or the king of the Cobra Lars. I don't know. Let's look at a real Cobra, shall we? And this is Dr. Mindbender from 1986, I believe, and certainly is one of the core characters in GI Joe as the line unfolded. This guy, he's a real fashionista. Not only does he like showing a little bit of skin on his head, he also shows a little bit of skin on his chest. Has this really nice cape here with the Cobra logo. He has this sort of vacuum cleaner that he drags around. I think it's some sort of probe to sort of, to do psychic things with his enemies. And he has a handgun there as well. Very happy to have this guy in my collection, and very happy to have the second version as well, which came out in 1993. And this was another one of those ones that had those Larry neon colours, but I don't mind it. I mean, I like all Joes. I love them all. There is the 1993 version there. A little bit different. He's got a bit of a high-tech sort of headpiece on, but still bald and deadly. Funnily enough, I reckon the head sculpt, it's very similar to that gung-ho head sculpt. So maybe that was a little add-on. I'm not sure. It's definitely an interesting theory to put forward. But this Mindbender, love him to bits. Certainly remains true to the original figure in that he's got a splash of purple on him, and he's certainly made to do some psyops. But two very bald and deadly Cobras, Dr. Mindbender from 1986 and Dr. Mindbender from 1993. Alright, the next one I need a little bit of help with, because I'm not sure if he qualifies as bald and deadly. When I first looked in my cabinet, I was like, oh look, there's a bald GI Joe, and I grabbed him out, and then soon remembered that he actually isn't completely bald, and here he is here. This is Dojo from the Ninja Force subset. He was released in 1992, and as you can see, he looks at first glance to be bald and deadly, but you turn him around and he has this strange ponytail peeking out from underneath his mask. So is he bald and deadly? I'm not sure. And how do you get a haircut like that anyway? Please let me know in the comments below. But Dojo, what a funny figure. Okay, now it would be remiss of me to do a bald and deadly G.I. Joe and Cobra video without getting out the most iconic bald character in the G.I. Joe run, and that is, of course, Roadblock. And I have the original 1984 version here. He was actually the last version of Roadblock I was able to add to my collection, and there's two reasons for that. First and foremost, he's from 1984, so he's 42 years old or something like that, so he's sort of tricky to find in good nick. And the second reason is I'm the kind of guy that sort of goes out and buys the version of a character that is most nostalgic to me, and that is, of course, the 1986 version, which I have here. So I went and got him first, and when I bought that 1986 Roadblock, for a long time I was like, look, I've got the 1986 version, there is no need for me to run out and buy all the others. He sort of fills that Roadblock space in my collection. But obviously, as things got out of hand, I went and bought every other version, and I'm going to show them to you now. So that's the 1984 version. That's the 1986 version here. The next one to come out was a 1988 Tiger Force version, which used the same sculpt as the original 1984 jobby, all with similar accessories, just with the Tiger Force paint job. Really cool figure. I mean, there's worse Tiger Force figures in that Tiger Force subset, but this one, I reckon they've done really well with that. What do you reckon? Is that one of the better Tiger Force figures? I'm looking at you, Tiger Force Tripwire and Tiger Force Frostbite. And I also have a 1992 Roadblock here from Star Brigade. And I'm really proud to have this guy in my collection because this helmet goes missing quite often. So to have him with the helmet and all the accessories, which are tucked up safely in my drawer, is really cool as far as I'm concerned. So that is the Star Brigade version, a really cool addition to that run of Roadblock. There is an orange version of this guy that I don't have. He came out in 1994, and he's just hard to get your hands on, as a lot of those 1994 figures can be. So I don't have him. Maybe one day I will get him. But look, all of those guys, definitely bald and deadly. And before I go, just for all of the classified fans out there, I had to get out this guy. And I might just adjust the camera so we can all see. This, oh look, he's much taller. This is classified Roadblock, who was, of course, the #1 classified. He was labelled #1 in the classified line. He came out, crikey, it would have been 4 or 5 years ago now, and he was one of the rare ones that was available on the shelf here in Adelaide, South Australia. So I bought him, and look, he is a little bit weird. I mean, there's some sort of space age sort of gold trim, and this weapon is sort of like, looks like a Nerf gun or a Halo gun. So it is a little bit weird, but look, he stays rather true to the 1986 version, which is my Roadblock. So very cool. That's for all you classified fans. I hope you appreciated that. So there you have it. There are all my bald and deadly GI Joes. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Before I wrap up, I just wanted to mention that I have opened memberships on my channel. I can't offer much in the way of perks because this isn't really a full-time job for me, but I do know there are some awesome people out there that do love supporting me with a couple of bucks every month. And I'll put them on screen right now. Here they are here. Most of them have their own YouTube channels and do some great stuff. So if you've enjoyed my content, you'll definitely enjoy theirs. Head over and check them out. And thanks so much to all those guys who are members of my channel. If you want to join up, feel free to do so. It'd be great to have you on board, but at the very least, please, if you're new to the channel, subscribe. It's awesome to have you on board, and I'd love for you to keep enjoying some more bits and pieces from my collection. We'll see you next time, Bald and Deadly Legends. Yo, Joe.